Happy Friday, everyone. It's September 15th, 2017. This is Virgo Triad. Today we're going to be doing our question and answer section, which I'm going to be doing every single Friday. And I'm hoping by next Friday we will be able to go ahead and start doing them live. If you guys would, please let me know if you would like to go ahead and start doing the question and answer series live. If you want to, please go ahead and check the like up, and if not, go ahead and check it down for not like, and I will take that into consideration when going into start live footage for question and answer series starting as of next week. This way, if we do it live, I'll be able to actually answer your questions as you're asking them. So hoping that we can implement that. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to be going through several of the comments that did not get the lengthy answer I would have liked to have been able to give with regards to your questions. And we're going to go ahead and start here with Valerie Correa. Valerie says, "Thank you so much for helping me to understand what TDA accounts really are. I definitely have been misinformed. I made several unsuccessful attempts to purchase items from Amazon, so am I regarded as a bounce check writer? Is my personal information flagged?" I did get to answer your question, Valerie, but I didn't get to answer it quite in as much length as I would have liked to. So let me elaborate on that a bit. You're not going to be flagged as a bounced check writer or a bad check writer if your checks are covered successfully immediately. If they haven't had to go into any kind of a collection process, then you're not going to be flagged as a bad check writer. If, in fact, you do have outstanding balances that are left over with Amazon or with Telecheck, they need to be addressed as rapidly as possible. And please be sure to take any information that contain the Federal Reserve routing numbers, lesser banks, or anything else that you've used as a routing number that did not actually belong directly to you, and your social security number out of the account number sections, especially out of Amazon. They won't work anyway, and it's best to probably just not have them within your payment section area. That way you won't be making the mistake of possibly hitting that button again. But you should be fine as long as you cover anything that was outstanding. And thank you so much for your question. Okay, our next question is from Scott Bolin, and his question is, speaking of common sense, each individual's social security number is your number, it's fraud if someone else uses your social security number. So explain that to me. It doesn't make sense that you're committing a crime if you use your own social security number. Okay, you're not using someone else's social security number when you're using your own social security number. The number on the front of your social security card is assigned directly to you. It is not a random number. It is assigned directly to you. However, the number that is on the back of your social security card is simply a stock number for the grouping of cards on the secured paper that were bundled together. This way, in the event that there is a theft or some come up missing, those can be documented within the database, the governmental database that anybody checks on them, they're going to see that those were stolen or those were lost or destroyed or what have you, so that people can be on the lookout for fraudulent social security cards, which, believe it or not, happens more often than you can imagine. There was just somebody that was arrested not long ago in the state of California for working for one of the printing companies that actually swiped about 2,000 of the Social Security cards and were selling them on the black market. So just so that you're aware, it does happen. This is the reason for the control number, the serial number that's on the back. And Scott, I'm sorry, but you must be under some misconception with regards to why this would be fraud for you to use your own social security number. If the number is assigned to you, it is your social security number and you are free to use it, provided that it is not requested back from you by the Social Security Administration as it would be, for example, if you renounced your citizenship. Okay, and Mike Doe asks, please tell me how to not get reversals. Mike, I am sorry, but unfortunately in this venue there is no way to not get reversals. These accounts do not exist within the Federal Reserve banking system. They don't exist at lesser banks. This actual scheme that was come up with puts together information that is totally and completely inaccurate. Any ways that there are to discharge debt are simply that. They're to discharge debt. There is no money or actual cash value to be had. Therefore, you're not able to actually do this in the same venue as writing checks and not get reversals. The simple fact is that these accounts that you think are there really are not there. Okay, and David Wagner also asked, what if your Social Security card has no numbers on the back? If you have your original card and have never had a replacement card, there are some, not a lot, but some, that don't have any serial number on the back. And then the majority of people have a black serial number on the back. The ones that have the red serial number on the back are replacement cards, which is what most people have because most people have cards that either wear out or they lose them along the way. Regardless of what color or what numbers, because you're going to find that if you get a replacement, the numbers are totally different from the original numbers. It's still just a serial number, guys. Okay, SAS Collective has a question that a lot of people are asking, so I'm going to go ahead and address this, and I may address this more than once, as a matter of fact, in this video. The question is, my question is, when I entered the number on the back of my Social Security card and searched Fidelity's bond search, 4 Treasury 0 coupons showed under that number. Is that a coincidence? Okay, I did answer this question. However, I'm going to go ahead and elaborate on it a little bit more. If you're using the number that's on the back of your Social Security card, then it's absolutely a coincidence. If you are using your Social Security number, it is absolutely a coincidence. And the reason that I say that is because your Social Security card is not a CUSIP number. There is not a CUSIP number on your Social Security card. What you are seeing on the back of your card is a serial number. It's not a CUSIP number. And it's not even in the right platform for all of the bonds that you would potentially locate. So yes, in that case, it actually is a coincidence. I'm going to go ahead and go down here to the second question that SAS Collective had, which is, I spoke with Fidelity and based on my CUSIP, the bonds within the CUSIP show a 90-day maturity. Every 3 months, at least 2 to 3 new bonds appear. I do know that these are Treasury auction bonds. Listen, anybody can purchase bonds off of the Treasury auction site. Anybody can purchase bonds off of the TDA.gov site. And if you have not purchased them yourself with your own money, then what you are seeing, because they're based on CUSIP numbers, and even though you thought that you had a CUSIP number on your Social Security card, you don't. So what you are seeing is someone else's bonds that are 90-day maturity bonds. The CUSIP number that's on the bonds, you're going to run into some that have the same numbers. And the reason why is because there's only so many series of numbers that you can get from those 9 digits. But in all honesty, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of bonds. So eventually you're going to hit on a few of them. And you can call all day long and ask them how much they're worth. You can find out that they exist, but you're not holding the actual bonds because you didn't purchase the actual bonds. You can contact the Social Security Administration and you will see that the back of your card is not a CUSIP number. It's not even, the parameters aren't even correct to be a CUSIP number for most bonds. Most bonds. There are a few that have a CUSIP number that is similar to. However, this would entail you to have to add numbers and everything else like zeros and stuff like that to make it work. This is a trick that has been used for many, many years, sending people over to the calculator to try to get them to see that it's their bonds. The other thing that will happen with these calculators is that they don't actually explain to you that these are amortization calculators. These calculators don't actually work on fact. So if you're putting the parameters in and the parameters aren't real, so for example, what in the maturity date field, if you're putting your date of birth, it's going to amortize the actual interest from that date of birth all the way up to today and whenever the bond matures. So that's going to show up to be hundreds of thousands of dollars, even if that's not a fact. Those calculators are not built for an actual factual output. And the reason why is because interest rates change all the time. It's simply basing it on today's interest rate. So even if you put in a real CUSIP number for a real bond with a real maturity date, it's still only going to give you an estimated amount, simply because at the end of the maturity date, when you can cash out of that bond, you're going to see that it's very possible that the interest rate has gone up and down, up and down. So it may be worth a lot more, or it may be worth a lot less by the time the maturity date comes. So I hope that this helps for you all to understand a little bit better on the TDA.gov site calculator and the Fidelity site calculator. I will give you a good example or another thing that you can go to kind of take a look at how this works. Go to any of the automobile sites that allow you to add what your approximate interest rate would be should you purchase a vehicle today for such and such amount of money and you want such and such amount of payment. It's going to give you a generalized rate, because in reality, there's no way to determine what your interest rate's going to be. You don't know what bank's going to finance you yet at that point. You do not know what type of paper they're going to write for you at that point. You're not sure whether or not the actual vehicle is going to be exactly the price, because what if you can talk them down? What if you decide to put extras in it? What if you decide to go with aftermarket things? So those variants change consistently. But the main thing that changes here is the interest rate. The interest rate changes, and your time that you might have the loan will change based upon the lender that you go through, based upon the amount of the vehicle and what you can actually afford with your debt to income ratio. So these calculators are not things that are based in concrete stone. They are an estimate, and sometimes a very poor one. Okay, and our next question, or statement rather, is coming from MJ Yancey. And the main reason that I have placed this comment up here is because, number one, I want to ensure that everyone is aware of a couple of statements that have been made on here with regards to the thumbs up and thumbs down on my videos. MJ Yancey says, Virgo Triad troll. You can't hit thumbs down, and you know that is no messing around. This lady is nutso. R34 is limited participation on the RDFI, or the original financial institution. This is all garbage. Number one, I wanted to let you guys know that you can hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down. My views are simply not public, and the reason for that is because of the games that get played with regards to people that have decided that no matter what fact is based upon, that they're going to attempt to try to get the channel taken down, or try to discredit the videos through a lot of dislikes. And so therefore I just went ahead and went around that and just made them invisible. You can certainly hit the dislike button or the like button. It does register to me. I do know what your opinion is. It just happens to be on the internal analytics versus being out to the public. Now, with regards to one more thing that I wanted to mention here, uh, and that is that she actually does put in here that the R34 is limited participation on the return financial institution or the originating financial institution. And it actually goes a little bit deeper than that. The R34 means limited participation because it means that it's being held by a financial officer for flagging the system, that it is being investigated or needs to be investigated for some form of fraud. It means that they are limiting your participation within the ACH system for that particular account. That's why it says limited participation. Now, what that means is it may not be fraudulent from the standpoint of that particular routing number. It could be because the bank that it's originating from or the bank that it's returning from, excuse me, had a bad audit and had way too many of these things flying around out there, and they needed to reevaluate. There are a number of reasons that an R34 could be given, but it always means limited participation. It always means that whoever is writing this check, this account number, this routing number, they're going to be stopped. They're not to go any further through the system. There's no reason to ping other accounts to try to find the right routing number because these are immediately stopped through the system. And an R34 supersedes a lot of other codes. So that's the reason why, a lot of people have been asking, well, a no account existing is an R03, or that's because the R34 supersedes that code. So there's no reason for them to provide you with every single code that comes back. The superseding, the more important code, if you ask, that's the one they're going to provide to you, and chances are provide to the vendor. So the vendor may not even know if there's other codes that came back to the actual bank on the cancellation or the reversal. And let me just state that also. We keep using the word reversal, and in reality, the reversal is only on the consumer. When we're dealing with an ACH, it's not reversed. It's actually just a canceled transaction because they wouldn't reverse something that wasn't there in the first place. That would be removing fees, and in reality, this is just canceling out the actual provisional credit. So the reversal is on the consumer. The third thing with regards to this type of comment, I do have to let everyone know that inflammatory statements and things that are just being ugly are not going to be tolerated more than once. So in the event that you choose to make comments about anyone posting, start in an internal argument or anything of that sort, do a lot of cursing, it's not going to be tolerated here. That simply creates chaos. It is not a good environment for people to be in. It's unhealthy for everyone involved, and I absolutely do not want it on my channel. So therefore, if you're caught doing it more than one time, I will block you. If you're caught doing it once, I may warn you, or if it's bad enough, I'll just remove the comment. I don't want to have to do that. I want to be able to openly debate with anyone who has valuable information that they either truly don't understand or maybe even could educate me with. But this type of comment is inflammatory, it's insulting, and it's just simply not something that belongs on this channel. Okay, Beyond Dear says, "Hi Virgo, I do have a private registered bond for investment issued to the Treasury, and I am a creditor. How would one utilize said bond to remove debts? Yes, I am a newbie." Okay, let me let you guys know that with regards to questions like these, or any questions pertaining to secured party creditor status or UCC1 claimants, those types of questions. Although I will be going into the UCC code and I will be explaining the codes to you, I am not a commerce attorney. Therefore, I am not going to answer or give advice on things that I feel could potentially do damage to you when I know that it's something that's going to require legal backup in the long run. So with this type of a question, I have to say that since you are really needing advice more than you're just asking a generalized question, I would like for you to pick up the phone and contact, a business attorney that is well versed in commerce and in the UCC codes, and move forward from there. This is not something that really should be answered by anyone who does not work in that particular venue. Okay, we have Alpha Majestic says, Virgo Triad, go to the gmeiutility.org and in the search bar, type in your name in all caps with a middle initial if you have one. Also search for your social security number with dashes, and while you're at it, search your driver's license. See if you can explain why all these so-called forms of identification we carry are all owned by parent entities, foreign and domestic, for the purpose of doing commerce. Thank you. Okay, Alpha, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, you've been misinformed with this. What the GMEI utility does is they provide what is called LEI numbers, and these are for companies that are attempting to try to verify and authenticate that a company has the right to actually trade worldwide. It is an indexing platform only. The GMEI utility index will actually take any number that you provide to it, as long as it's in the right format, and it will then go ahead and pull any actual companies that contain those numbers, no matter what area they're in. So in other words, it doesn't have to be the exact number. They will pull everything that has those numbers in it, as far as companies, because it's an indexing platform for you to actually look through to find the company that you are wanting to review and ensure that they have proper authority to trade worldwide. That's what this is about. It has nothing to do with looking up anything else. It is strictly an indexing platform. You can type in 111-112, or I'm sorry, -12 2233, and you are going to get exactly the same type of list, maybe different companies, but it is actually going to be the same thing. You can do it with all ones, do it with all zeros, do it with all nines, do it with half nines and half fours. You're going to always get the indexing platform, and it's going to give you everybody that is within those parameters. Once again, this is absolutely nothing to do with your social security number. It is simply, again, an indexing platform that is used with numbers. That's it. That's all there is to it. You can call them. They will explain it to you. It's a sad thing to me that this was brought up. As a matter of fact, this was one of the reasons I started watching a little more closely, was because of a video that was made on this. It is absolutely 100% not true. There is nothing about the GMEI utility indexing platform that would give you any information like this whatsoever. So if there's any further questions with regards to gmeiutility.org, I'd be more than happy to do a full-fledged 30-minute video on it and give you every ins and out of what GMEI actually does, and I'll even make a phone call to them and place that on the video, because I'm sad to say that this has gone around like wildfire, and it is so wrong that it's not even funny. So thank you for your question, however. Okay, and although I did get a chance to answer this question, I'm going to reiterate it on this video because, again, this is important. It has to do with the treasurydirect.gov website. So Veronica Petrix, thank you for your question. It says, I am confused when I put, I'm Virgo Triad, I believe she's meaning, into a search box, I get tarot readers and astrologers. I had to keep clicking the pages in order to find you. Okay, Veronica, as I said, I'm assuming that the reason why that actually happens is because my screen name has Virgo in it. And So when you're getting the tarot readers or whatever, it's probably just because of my screen name. However, this is the only channel I have, the only channel I have ever had, and no, I am not a tarot reader. Number two, what I don't understand is how come I found at least $55,000 under my Social Security number when I went to treasurydirect.com under bonds, and I believe she means treasurydirect.gov. So let me go ahead and reiterate one more time. Fidelity and treasurydirect.gov calculators are an estimate calculator for an amortization over time. When you put parameters that include a start date of your birthday, which is not real, and they give you an estimated time frame of interest accrued, it is number one an estimated interest over time that would be totally and completely inflated because the parameters you've given to it are your birthday, and number two, you are using something that is not a CUSIP code if you are using either your social security number, or the number on the back of your social security card. Not a CUSIP number. So you have to have a CUSIP number for a bond. They are in different formats. They are not in the formats that are what you have been told on the back of your social security card. That is not accurate at all. A CUSIP number is 9 digits. It's alphanumeric. The majority of the bonds, the numeric part of it is at the end, not at the beginning. So once again, this is a total and complete fallacy, and it doesn't exist. And I'm sorry about that, but it just simply doesn't. And I'm hoping that this will assist those that keep getting confused because of all of these calculators. The TD, the Treasury Direct account.gov website and the Fidelity website, that is not what they're there for. They're not there for hard written in stone facts. They are estimated calculators to give you an idea of the potential of a CUSIP. And even if you've got a real one, as I said before, you've got a real CUSIP number, a real maturity date, you've purchased it yourself, you have it in your hand, you are going to get a date that is an amount that is either inflated or deflated from reality, because they're going on the date of maturity and the interest rate as it stands right now, which that interest rate is going to change, chances are, before the maturity date. So I hope this helps. Any more questions about this, once again, please feel free to comment, and I will address a video directly to this if need be. Okay, so just a couple more questions. This one from Yvette says, Virgo Triad, you need to read up on straw man. You are not telling the truth. You can file a UCC1 and get your money. Yvette, I'm not sure that you thoroughly understand exactly how a UCC1 claim works. What you're suggesting is a rather redundant circle here. What a secured party creditor does when they turn in a UCC claim is, I'll use again Ford Motor Credit for example. They have lent you money on a vehicle, and in order to ensure that you don't try to take out a second on that vehicle while it's still financed through them with your vehicle equity, and they are not any longer the first claimant, they will file a claim upon the UCC, within the UCC. Now, they have to have a great number of things together in order to do that. One of the things is they have to be licensed, and they have to secure a very large bond, and they have to provide a two-party agreement with a promissory note in order to place that claim. Now, the reason that they're going to place that claim, once again, is to ensure that they are the first ones that if they had to repossess the vehicle from you because you stopped making payments, that they would be the first ones to be able to acquisition the United States Treasury to write off that amount if they couldn't collect it, whatever was remaining after the vehicle was repossessed and then auctioned off. There generally is a balance left over. With the balance that's left over, if they can't collect it from you after a reasonable amount of time, that is when they would acquisition for a charge-off. Now, keep in mind that a charge-off is only an offset. A charge-off does not mean that they get to request for cash. It's only a charge-off to offset what's owed on their taxes. That does not mean that they get a refund based on that. It is an offset, once again. So, and this offset can actually go on for quite a while, several years, as a matter of fact. It isn't cash value. It never has been. Now, let's say that you are going to act as your own claimant. Number one, you have to become a secured party creditor. You have to secure a bond that is quite a large bond, which is a process to go through. It also costs, okay? Once you're licensed and you are secured, okay, then you have to file the claim. And in order to do that, you have to provide the documentation that is between two parties, that is an agreement and a promissory note that will show that this agreement took place, all right? You have to be able to prove your claim. If there's any question within the system as to whether or not that claim is real, you're going to have to go to court to prove that it's real, all right? Once you get that far, at that point, you can acquisition the Fiscal Bureau within the Treasury and list it as something that is outstanding, that you haven't been able to collect after a certain amount of time, all right? And at that point, when you, as the person, file your taxes, your tax returns will be withheld if a judgment is received on that claim. If there's no judgment received, nothing would be withheld from your income tax, and you might have an offset, but once you accept that offset on your taxes, and keep in mind this is not cash money, this is just a credit offset, at that point, then you're going to actually owe, according to the IRS, yourself that debt. So in turn, you will owe yourself, and that will be now placed on your credit as a charge-off. All right. So the minute that you go to try to collect the offset, the IRS is going to check and see if you were actually capable of paying for that claim. All right. And if you are, well, then the money will be taken back from you. The credit will be taken back from you. And in that case, you've just gone in a great big circle for really no reason. Now, in addition, I don't know how you would plan to turn this into the Bureau of Fiscal Service and cross-reference yourself in order to avoid a chargeback. Now, I've heard people say things like, well, that's okay. Before, they take the money back, I will just go ahead and file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy and liquidate all debt so that this way I can just keep my money. No, that wouldn't work either. This is the reason why there has to be total transparency before a bankruptcy is discharged, before it's granted to you. And even though it's in the process of being granted to you, there are months that you wait to ensure that something like this doesn't actually occur before the bankruptcy is discharged. So there are stoppers put in place for just this type of scenario, and it's a wild circle to go in. It's extremely, extremely costly to go in this cycle here. I don't know why you would want to do it, but if you ever even got to the point of being able to prove your claim, everything beyond that point is just simply a waste of time and money. Now, that's not to say that there are not debt pools that you can pull from in certain scenarios, but those scenarios are approved and they are monitored. and it isn't something that you just get to do. I mean, there seems to be this generalized feeling that, hey, I can go in, file a UCC1, and I can you know, have it stamped and approved and notarized and file it with the with the clerk, and hey, I'm good to go. No, I'm sorry, it just simply doesn't work like that. Um, that is not what the UCC office is for. A secured party creditor is a very serious thing. And let me just mention to you also that should you choose to do something like that, you're entangling yourself very deeply in with not only the United States Treasury, but every part of the system, financial and economic system that you can imagine. Everything that everyone is completely and totally against at this point, because it is corrupt to an extent. So, you know, it just simply doesn't make any sense. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go ahead and address this question. As far as the straw man is concerned, I do have quite a bit of backing with regards to researching this. As a matter of fact, once again, another one of the things that I ran into that I believed was a good reason to look into this movement with regards to the finance part of it. I wanted to, you know, use what I know my background to be, strengths to be, in order to see if I could find these accounts. You know, I wanted to find them just as bad as anybody else. But the truth is that the straw man theory, although there is some validity to it, is not the way that it's being presented currently on the YouTube videos. So you guys want some more information with regards to that, comment. I'll be more than happy to take a look at what I can find, and we'll do a video on that too, okay? So this is really more about learning and educating you on what I know to be fact, and other things I will be researching right along with you. Okay, so our final question here from Peasel Weasley is, this YouTube video claims Federal Reserve is going to start directly processing ACH payments on 9/15/2017. What does that mean or affect? Okay, that is today. And what you're going to see is that the credits that you already see going into your account from your payroll, okay, that post on the same day, that's what's going to be happening with the ACH, or with the ACH debits now. Okay, it's been in place for a couple of years to have this roll out this way. The ACH payments that you would have made 2 days ago, for example, may take 3 days to clear. It's had a 72-hour window. Now it has more like a 12 to 14-hour window, which means that it will post by the close of business, by the close of the electronic books within that day. Now, we have another one that's coming out in 2018 where ACH debits will close by 5 p.m. Depending on your time zone, it will close at 5 p.m. So that means not close of electronic business, but close of actual banking day. So that doesn't take effect until next year. But the reason I warned you guys about the ACH payments that start today is that, let's say, for example, you wrote a check, an electronic check. You authorized your car payment to come out this Friday. I wanted for you to be aware that it's possible that they could take it at midnight on Friday instead of midnight on Saturday. In other words, it wouldn't wait until Monday to come out of your account. They process it and it comes out, you know, sometime within the business day. And that doesn't necessarily mean midnight. It may be, it could be 12 noon. It could be before your check goes in other words. It could have hit at midnight last night, which is technically still, 9:15, and then your check might not have posted until 3 a.m. So my biggest concern was that everybody was aware of it so that they didn't get non-sufficient funds fees, because it's a fallacy that that credits go into your account or are accepted into your account prior to debits. That is not the case anymore. They take them by batch, which gives the banks the capability of charging you a bunch of non-sufficient funds charges, even if they see that something's on its way in. So once again, it was just something to try to protect you. And I believe that this video is also letting you know that that could be the case. I'm going to go ahead and close it out here. I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. We're going to start next week with talking about debt solutions. So we're going to get away from a lot of this TDA stuff and hopefully close that out by the end of next week entirely. And we're going to start working on some things that can help you with your debt, that are actually ideas and ways that will allow you to start getting rid of what's on top of you right now. Legal ways that you need to learn just to better help you get along for the remainder of your financial life with dealing with these banks. So I hope to see you all back next week. And please feel free to comment. Don't forget, if you want to start doing the live sessions starting next Friday, make sure you hit the thumbs up. Okay? If you don't want to, thumbs down. Whatever the tally is by midnight tonight, actually, you know what? I'm going to make it midnight Monday night. I will take into consideration. And if you guys want to try it, then next Friday we'll be live. Okay, have a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.